Testing 1, 2, 3. Salute to the chat. Let me know how the connection is because I'm on the hotel Wi-Fi, so I'm not too sure how this is going to go, but we're going to kick it off anyway. You guys know how we do. CP the Fanchise here, checking in from Las Vegas over here at NBA Summer League, man, having a blast and making a lot of contacts. It's been a great past couple of days, but obviously when the news and the rumors are coming around the orange and blue, you know we got to come on here and talk about it, and that is Donovan Mitchell, man. The Donovan Mitchell rumors are back up because it was reported yesterday that the Knicks, that Utah is now listening to offers for Donovan Mitchell. You know, Danny Ainge parting with Rudy Gobert for basically 5 first-round picks. Then the reports were that, well, they're going to retool around Donovan Mitchell, which many people figured that wasn't going to be set in stone, right? Yes, they could say that, and maybe they still do that. But at the end of the day, you can tell that based on the return that Danny Ainge got for Rudy Gobert, they're going to try to rebuild. They are going to try to destroy and rebuild. Yes, they can still try to do so with Donovan Mitchell on the team, but it doesn't really make sense. So nevertheless, the Woj report came out that Donovan Mitchell is available. Nobody on that Utah Jazz roster, according to the general manager, is untouchable. So the Spider is on the market. Now, let's go to Brian Windhorst rather, who had this to say on the Mitchell front and how it impacts the Knicks. Let's go to it. Hang on one second.
A player like Donovan Mitchell in a trade, because the fear was that there wouldn't be enough left on the roster to compete where the Knicks want.
My bad. That was Ian Begley. Let me get Windhorst in here. Give me 1 second. Here's Windhorst.
That brings us to our NBA insider. We got Windy.
Out, especially how to put together a trade like this to get together. I'm a little bit skeptical that it would actually be executed, but I have to acknowledge that there is a workable solution that all those could get what they wanted. And a good factor in this is that Indiana, who I mentioned, has cap space. And so they can sort of be a leveraging point in addition to getting DeAndre Ayton. So we're going to watch to see if that can be put together. I'm skeptical. That leaves the other potential option that presents itself for Donovan Mitchell if that doesn't happen, and that is the New York Knicks. Now, in the trade for Rudy Gobert, the Jazz basically showed what their strategy is. They took back role players on expiring contracts to get 4 first-round picks in that deal. The New York Knicks have 8 tradable first-round picks and a need and a desire for a star player like Donovan Mitchell, who is from the New York area. Some people believe that this is an inevitability. It's just a matter of what price can be negotiated. Other teams are interested in Mitchell, and it could go a different direction. They could keep Mitchell, or at least posture they're going to keep Mitchell. But I think we're going to hear a lot about Donovan Mitchell and the New York Knicks in the coming days.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so that was Brian Windhorst at ESPN. Let me make sure that the audio's good, make sure that the connection is good, because like I said, I'm on hotel Wi-Fi. So what he started off saying was that the one thing to watch is still the KD trade, because the KD trade from the Nets is still in a holding pattern. We know that the Suns is at the top of his list. The Suns also have DeAndre Ayton, who's a restricted free agent, who has still not signed with any team. And we do know that the Pacers are interested in Ayton. Now, could there be a 3-team swap or a 4-team swap between those teams to make it happen? It's going to be hard because the Nets cannot take on both Donovan Mitchell and Ben Simmons, right? You can't have 2 players on a rookie max deal on the same team, or acquire one when there's one on the team. So in order for the Nets to acquire Donovan Mitchell, they would have to part with Ben Simmons first. So that's why it makes that trade kind of complex. Then also you have the whole DeAndre Ayton thing, where if he's able to just sign with the Pacers outright into their cap space, that kind of topples KD going to the Suns. So there's a lot of complex moving parts in terms of trying to get a 3-team trade done between Mitchell, KD, and Ayton. So now Windhorst brings on the Knicks. And so does everybody. A lot of the insiders are saying the Knicks. Why? Because obviously the connections with CAA. Donovan Mitchell has ties to New York. And the Knicks presenting the best package in terms of draft capital, right? We have up to 8 first-round picks that we can trade in a potential deal for Donovan Mitchell. Doesn't mean they're going to trade all of it. It doesn't mean that Ainge is going to want all of it. But obviously, Ainge knows what the Knicks are dealing with and what they have. And so, as I've said many times, a Mitchell acquisition is going to cost. You are going to have to pony up. Now, the Knicks obviously would have to be the favorites there, according to Vegas, which I'm in Vegas right now. They are the favorites. But you also have the Miami Heat. Okay? You have the Miami Heat, who have the potential to offer a package of Tyler Herro, maybe Duncan Robinson, and a couple of picks. But it may not be what the Jazz are looking for. Because clearly, as I said to start the show off, based on the Gobert, at the output of the Gobert trade, the Jazz took on, dead contracts, role players, but it was the draft picks that were the premium. So that leads me to think that that is what they are looking for. Now, if we go to this Bleacher Report article by Jake Fischer, our guy Jake Fischer. Here's what he says about the Miami Heat. He says that the Heat, for example, have been long mentioned as one of the eager suitors for Mitchell, but Miami remains involved in the Durant sweepstakes as well. They may not come away with either Durant or Mitchell, but they definitely can't steal both. Miami has been unwilling to propose a trade for Durant that satisfied the Nets' asking price because of the difficulty the Heat face in returning adequate support for Durant and Jimmy Butler. Okay? Now, he also mentions that rival executives were interviewed here at Summer League and said that Utah's appetite for R.J. Barrett is a key ingredient in a Mitchell trade. But an unofficial Bleacher Report poll of over 24 NBA executives at Summer League this week indicated R.J. boasts a greater trade value across the league than Tyler Herro by a wide margin, particularly because of Barrett's improving strengths on the defensive end. So according to Jake Fischer of Bleacher Report, the rival execs that were polled were saying that RJ holds more market value than Tyler Herro. Take it for what it's worth, right? Now, would the Knicks part with RJ Barrett? Let's go to Ian Begley, who had this to say about Mitchell and RJ and where things stand.
Touch with members of the Knicks organization prior to the draft in the offseason. They were hesitant, the Knicks were, to parting with the kind of players that it might take to get Donovan Mitchell or a player like Donovan Mitchell in a trade, because the fear was that there wouldn't be enough left on the roster to compete where the Knicks wanted to compete to that level if they gave up too many players in a trade for a player like Mitchell. And that's relevant now, obviously, because according to ESPN, Utah is listening to offers on Donovan Mitchell. Now, New York has 8 future first-round draft picks that it can send out in a trade, and Utah, according to people in touch with that organization, has certainly been prioritizing getting picks back, significant picks back in any Mitchell deal, and so that's worth noting. But who else would the Knicks send out in a potential Donovan Mitchell deal? Would it be R.J. Barrett? Well, according to people in touch with members of the Knicks in recent days, they had no interest in trading Barrett in any kind of deal. Now, does that stance change now that Mitchell is available? I don't think so. I'd be surprised, because if you're the Knicks and you're including R.J. Barrett in that kind of a trade, again, what do you have left? Do you have enough left after trading for Donovan Mitchell to compete in the Eastern Conference? I mean, that's up for debate, but it seems to me like you would want to pair Mitchell and Barrett together in any way going forward if you're putting together a package for Mitchell. Another note here, the Nets, people with the organization do have interest in Donovan Mitchell. The hurdle there is because of NBA rules, a team cannot acquire a player like Donovan Mitchell and Ben Simmons via trade, have them on the roster at the same time. So that's a pretty big hurdle for Brooklyn in any attempt for them to get Donovan Mitchell from Utah. And also, obviously, they're dealing with the Kyrie Irving and Kevin
All right, so he goes more in on the net side of things, which we don't really care about. But as far as the Knicks go, as he says, it doesn't seem like the Knicks are interested in putting R.J. Barrett in a trade for Mitchell, and I wouldn't either, because when we spoke about this in the past, when the Mitchell stuff has come up, for me, I wouldn't put R.J. in that deal, and I'm not with gutting the entire team to bring in Mitchell, and then you got to figure it out after that. However, if where Ainge is coming from is that he's looking for the draft compensation, because remember, you still got to pay RJ the rookie max extension. Doesn't seem like you're really trying to go there. They look like they're trying to bottom this thing out and tank it up. So if that is the case, and Donovan Mitchell can be had for a combination of draft capital as well as some of the Knicks role players without putting RJ in the deal, I'm going to pull it. I'm going to pull it. Is it by any means necessary? There has to be a price where Leon is able to walk away from the table. But there's no doubt that you have to be aggressively inquiring if Donovan Mitchell is available. And if you don't have to put RJ in the deal with all the draft capital that you've just acquired, you got to look into it. You got to look into it. I'm pulling it. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. 1,000 people in here on the check-in emergency live stream. CP reporting live from Las Vegas from Summer League. Yeah, man. Shout out to everybody that I met. And speaking of which, mentioned RJ. One person who I ran into yesterday was RJ's father, Rowan Sr. I was at the Pistons and Pacers Summer League game. Ivy didn't play, but Mathurin was there. A lot of the other Canadian players were there. SGA was in there. Lou Dort was there. Jalen Rose, Derek Fisher. But, I'm standing by the doorway watching the game. And the guys, people are funneling in and out of the door. And a guy walking out. And through my peripheral, I look. And I was like, the guy looks familiar, because I did meet RJ's father during the season. We had a conversation in the Delta Lounge at MSG. So he walks past me. We did lock eyes, and then he walks past me. I was like, the guy looks familiar. And then he comes back through the door, daps me up. He's like, yo, it's KnicksFanTV. What's good? And, had some words with RJ's pops, man. So KnicksFanTV is on the map. #1 show for the fans by the fans. Make no mistake. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this Mitchell situation? As I said, if it included RJ, I'm out. If it doesn't have to include RJ, I think we got to look into it. There's so many of you guys that have called this show once the Brunson deal happened. And so many of you guys were saying that, we're in no man's land. This is not going to put us in a situation where, we're not good enough to contend or even make a playoff spot, solid playoff spot, and we're not bad enough to be in a good lottery situation where we can get a game changer. So a lot of you guys are concerned about being stuck in no man's land, and I'm with it. I understand that there is a considerable risk there. That's why I'm pulling the trigger. I'm trying to kickstart this thing with Brunson, Mitchell. Yes, I know about the defense. It's going to be a question. And RJ. Young talent. You have a chance to bring in a multi-time All-Star, 25 years old, from the area, can close games for you, a bucket getter. We don't have that on this team right now. And a lot of you guys are trying to sell the deficiencies of Mitchell. He's injured. He didn't show up in the playoffs. The defense, I hear all of that. He'd still be the best player on this team by a mile. Still be. How many times are we looking for a guy that can close on this team? How many times are we looking for an all-star? Some of you guys that don't want Spider Mitchell, don't call me during the regular season when they dump it down to number 30 in crunch time and you already know what the end result is going to be. Don't call me. Don't call me. All right? Don't do it. We are looking for that caliber of player, and you got to pay to play in this league. We got the picks. This is what Leon came here for. We have acquired the draft picks. So at some point, it's time to make a move. And what I'm asking is now the time? Now, we've had these conversations on Twitter. The conversation has been going on Twitter all day. Me and Ari have been going back and forth and everything. And look, there's a segment of the fan base that's saying, let's wait it out a little bit, see if we can improve our leverage, which I agree with 100%. Because the amount of teams that Utah can realistically trade him to, I don't think there's much of a market there right now. Would a OKC and Orlando, one of those perennial lottery teams that are building with young pieces, try to consolidate that and get Donovan Mitchell? I don't see it. I was talking to somebody close to the league at Summer League about OKC, and the person said, look, OKC has all this talent. We're sitting there, we're watching Sched, we're watching Gideon, all these guys run up and down. He's like, they have all this talent, but I doubt that Sam Presti has true motivations to try to win. And so, yes, the Knicks can take a risk and maybe wait until next offseason when he's another year removed off of his contract. Maybe during that time he plays out the season with the Utah Jazz. They're a bad team. Maybe that lowers his trade value a little bit. Maybe. I wouldn't be opposed to that, to waiting it out. But as I said, you still got to look out for Miami. There's a slight possibility that, it could be a three-way trade where he lands in Brooklyn. You never know. So there is a risk there as well to waiting. There is a risk to waiting. And so that's where we are, man. Now, I'd love to take your calls today. I don't have all my equipment. Tomorrow, we'll be doing the post-game show from the Blue Wire podcast studio at the Wynn Resort and Casino, state-of-the-art facility. So we'll be able to take all your phone calls on the switchboard and the Discord. So today will be part 1. Tomorrow will be part 2 with the fan reactions and the fan call-in reactions. But today's stream, I just wanted to come on and chop it up with you guys and give you my reaction to the whole thing. And where we stand. So salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Let me read some of the super chats, see what you guys are saying. Rob Clark Jr. says, getting Spider does not get us any closer to being a playoff team if we gut the squad. If we can keep RJ Grimes, do it. I don't necessarily agree with that. It all depends on what you're parting with. It all depends on what you're parting with. But it's certainly a start. It's absolutely a start. And I would take a look at that. Put it this way. Are you any closer to the playoffs with the team that you have right now? A lot of you guys want to continue to draft and develop. I hear that, but it's not a surefire. It's not a lock that you're going to contend for anything. It's not a lock that the players that you're drafting are going to be any more than replaceable role players. Let's just keep it a buck. I like all these kids. There's no guarantees there. Orlando's been building through the lottery. Where are they? But Herro looks like a problem. We'll see, if he can change their fortunes. Why do you think the Minnesota Timberwolves went out there and pulled the trigger on a Rudy Gobert trade? Because what they're saying is, we've been building through the draft, we've been doing it, and it hasn't been working. Let's take a swing. And that's what the Knicks are going to be faced with, sitting on all this draft capital, already bringing in Brunson. Take a swing. Take a swing. Where are all these draft picks going to be if the Knicks bring in a guy like a Brunson? RJ's taking the next step. It's not going to be that high. And yes, you can point to all the outliers of all-stars and superstars that have been picked in the second round and late in the first round, but let's be real. The creme de la creme of the superstar talent in this league is picked within the top 10. You run it off a sheet. More often than not, they are picked at the top of the draft. That's what I'm saying. You got to take a look. Maybe take a swing, man. Javier Salgado, $5 super chat says, depends on the price. Anything higher than this, Randall, Evan, Deuce, Rose, Cam, 4 first-round picks, and a few pick swaps. I'm hanging up the phone. All right. Kenny Gale says, is Mitchell a proven talent? Yes. Should we trade everything for a number 2 before we fully have a number 1? No. Where are you getting the number 1 first? He says patience is a virtue. Where are you getting that number 1 with how this team is being built? Please, can somebody in the chat, Darnell, see what's good? Can somebody in the chat please provide that answer? They tried to jump up to go get Ivy this past draft. They did not have the tools, the assets to go get him. You're not going to jump from 11 to 4 to 5 to go get him. Where is this number 1 guy coming from? Who else are we going to wait on with all this draft capital? Who else are we going to wait on? Who else are we going to wait on? George Daniels says I'm wrong. Who else are we going to wait on? We're not OKC. We are not building this thing through the top of the draft. They are trying to compete. That is why you brought in Jalen Brunson. That is why you gave Julius the deal. They're trying to compete. So how now are you going to get a number 1 talent? Are you going to continue to just sit out there and wait for the perfect guy, the perfect superstar? Who is that? Are you gonna wait for Devin Booker? Are you gonna wait for Booker? Who are you gonna wait on? My guy RGT85 says keep RJ, Obi, Grimes. Try and keep IQ. Everyone else, pack your bags and bring a first-round picks with you. Well, the thing is that they're not going to look to take on any long-term contracts. So I don't see Julius, I don't see Evan being realistic parts of that trade. Jared Salone, we got 1,600 people in here. Hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP checking in from Las Vegas Summer League, turning up and building up on some contacts, man. He says, Kenny Gale says, we don't know if any of them are number 1 because we're trying to ship them out to Utah. Kenny, man, you got to be realistic, bro. You have to be realistic. There is not one player on the New York Knicks, and I like all these guys. I respect all these kids. There is not one player on the New York Knicks right now that will ever be a superstar in this league, and that is a fact. That's a fact. We have got to be realistic, man. We have got to be realistic. We do not have one superstar on this team. And just because they play year after year after year and grow together, it's not, you're not going to turn one into a superstar. We don't have it. We don't have it. That is why you're trying to bring in a guy. He's already been a 3-time All-Star, led his team to the playoffs every single year in the West, was the number 1 seed in the West last year. Yes, Gobert was a big part of that and a big part of why their defense was top-notch. But you still have to get buckets in this league. You still have to get buckets in this league. You still have to. I mean, you guys have got to be realistic, man. Several teams are trying to build this through the draft the right way, and they still never amount to anything. You got to get lucky. Game changers, superstars don't grow overnight. So what you need to do is try to build a team with your most talented players. RJ is a talent. You try to bring in a Mitchell, that is a talent. Brunson, that is a talent. Yes, defense could be compromised. We'll have to see how that works. That's why we're paying Tibbs the money. He's supposed to be the defensive mastermind. Figure it out. Figure it out. See if your team defense doesn't get compromised. You got to pay to play, man. All right, let's see some more super chats in here. I got Kenny Gales. Ostrilla says, what do we do with 2 6'1" guys in the backcourt? Hey, man, you hope it works out. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. Yes, you can look at Conley and Mitchell together last year. Didn't work out so well. You know, the perimeter defense was quite porous. I understand that. But you got to figure it out. Tom from Huntington, $20 super chat says, Salute, bro, pull the trigger and make the deal. We can figure it out later. Let's go. Let's go. Tom from Huntington got that one. DR AC $20 super chat says appreciate it. You got to pay to play, man. We in Vegas. I'm in Vegas right now. Perfect analogy. All right, you gotta spend money to make money. Junior Caroma says RJ's untouchable. Period. Yep, I agree with that. I'm not putting RJ in a deal for him. Woke Hogan says the chat delusional, thinking Utah wants a tank and then would take Randall, Obi, Grimes, and 5 first. Sam Ortiz, $10 super chat says, do the Knicks need him with this current team? Assets for a 1, maybe second round. Is it worth it? Yeah, a lot of you guys are saying, well, second round is a ceiling. You got to start somewhere. You're trying to compete for something. Give me a Knicks team that can win a first round. And I like where that team is heading. Win a first round series. A lot of you guys want to go from the basement to a championship. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. Jorge Lopez, $5 super chat says, appreciate it. Rob Clark says, why are we acting like Spidey's Giannis? You tell me we can't wait it out. We haven't even seen what the young guys are. Look, like I said, we can wait. If you want to wait 1-2 years and he's still available, sure. I don't mind doing that. In the meantime, you continue to see what your young players can do, see if guys improve, see if his value lowers, see if you can get him for cheaper. But there's also a risk that you lose out on him. And who else is out there? Who else are we waiting for? Again, a lot of you guys just think just continuing to build with young players and building and chemistry and stability is going to win you playoff series and championships. It doesn't work that way. It don't work that way. Let me see here. Who else is in here? Sam Ortiz, I got that one. Uptown Mister says, the team we have now will be better than what we can be if they do a trade for Donovan Mitchell. I think it depends on what the trade is. He says, I think we won't get past the second round regardless, but that trade won't do us any more justice. All right, so continue to build with what we have, and let's see if we get to the first round. I don't know what to tell you guys. Jump $5 super chat says, agree 100% with CP. This is what we got the assets for at this point. So we got to pull the trigger. It's a waste otherwise. Who else are we going to get? Eric Nephron says the deal doesn't close without RJ. Well, we'll have to see. Because again, you're still going to have to negotiate with him on the rookie max extension. Is that Utah's motivation? Is that their goal to do that? Or are they trying to completely bottom this thing out? Let's see who else. Junior Caroma got that. Kenny Gales got that. O'Skrilla got that. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. JD, my guy JD is here, says, man, just went to Vegas, met with CAA brass, and now it's changed. Yo, man. Yo, Vegas has been a treat. It's definitely been a treat, man. Get the best of both worlds, you know what I mean? A little play time, a little work time, and as I said, you know, Summer League is a place to be, to see and be seen. So it's definitely been working out well. Shout out to Alex, $10 super chat says, this is all Phil Jackson's fault. We would have just had Mitchell, but we picked Frankie's cigarettes instead. Facts. Blame Phil. This could have all been avoided. This could have all been avoided, man. Just blame Phil straight up. I'm with you on that. Slick Rich says, CP, what is your ideal type of trade? Look, I'll give him 5 firsts. Obi, Quick, Cam, McBride. I'm trying to keep Grimes as much as possible. Obviously, I don't think Fournier and Randall go in that deal. But yeah, you'd have to trade Obi. You have to trade Quick, Cam, 5 or 6 firsts. That's how it's looking. All right, let's see how many more super chats. We creeping up on 2,000 on the check-in, man. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Usman J-Lo says, don't. Donovan Mitchell is not a superstar at all, just an all-star. Okay. So we can continue to wait it out. Flashy, where you at, man? Flashy in the chat. Flashy, are you still here in Vegas? Let me know what's going on. Also, let me know, people in the chat, how the sound is. I left all my microphones and stuff back at the studio, so I'm just using my webcam audio right now. So just let me know how the sound is, how the connection is, and go from there. Adam C, 5 first, no chance. Well, Rudy Gobert just went for 5 first. What do you think Donovan Mitchell in All-Star is going to go for? What do you think he's going to go for? Michael Good says the time is now. We have waited long enough. I love RJ, but awkward left-handed, slow step. He's not Donovan. Yeah. That is a fact, man. That is a fact. Look, it is a risk. It is a risk. And as I said, for me, it's not by any means necessary. But if, and I go back, let me start, because a lot of you guys are coming in the middle of this stream. I started by saying, if we don't have to put RJ in a deal, then I'm looking to do it. I'm looking to do it. This guy would easily be the best player on this team. Solve a lot of issues for us. Yes, there's a lot of risk and would present a lot of issues. But if you're going to tell me that this team is stuck in no man's land by going after Jalen Brunson, then you might as well take a swing at another talent and bring it in here. You might as well. That's all I'm saying. You might as well take a look. Minnesota's overpay is not a standard. Well, for Danny Ainge, it's going to be. For Danny Ainge, it's definitely going to be. Because they don't have to trade him. So you're going to have to pay up. And yes, Utah runs the risk of his trade value being lower as time passes, for sure. For sure. But they don't have to. Randy Savage's 3-way trade. Get Spider, Heat. We get Spider, Heat get Cam and Quick. Utah get Herro, Randall. Trade later in the season draft picks. No, I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. Let's see some more super chats that have come in. Appreciate the support. Salute to everybody in the chat. Robert Watkins, $10 super chat. Definitely appreciate it. Son from Brooklyn said, bless up CP, the yard man from this Yankee Trini. Salute to Trinidad, man. Knicks need to keep their current roster intact if possible. I got questions about 261 guards. Yeah, so do I. I definitely do. But what I can tell you is, just continuing to build and develop with these young guys may not necessarily get you anywhere either. You need stars. This is a star league, ladies and gentlemen. A star league. It's a star league. Yes, you try to get those guys through the draft, and the Knicks may have a guy who can be a number 2, a 1B, a 3 in RJ. I believe that. That's one piece. Now you're trying to bring in another. But they're at a point now where they're not going to be at the top of the draft with this team. Unless in a few years from now they decide to tank it up. Get rid of Julius, get rid of Fournier. Don't take any contracts back and really tank this thing up. What we've seen from this regime is that they're not going to do it. And while Leon Rose is here and running out of time, he's acquiring the draft capital to make a move like this. The question is, when? When? All right, somebody says he's not the answer. Okay, so continue to watch, continue to see the product, and then to continue to call in when they're not good enough and complain. I'll be here either way. So that's on you, man. That is on you. But this is a star-driven league. Case in point, I'll give you a perfect example. Look at what the Miami Heat just went through this year. They have a superstar in Jimmy Butler. They have an all-star in Bam. They had a good player in Kyle Lowry. Top defense in the league. And what happened in the playoffs? It still wasn't enough. They flamed out, and now they're looking to get Jimmy help. Riley's not standing pat. Riley doesn't just sit there and say, oh, let's go with all our homegrowns. When Riley sees an opportunity, he's going out and he's going after it. When he sees an opportunity, he's going after it. He's willing to take that risk. All I'm saying is, it may be time to take that swing, if the price is right. Somebody said Lowry and Fred VanVleet backcourt want a chip. Yes, but let's not discredit the fact that you had, two excellent defenders, versatile defenders in Kawhi Leonard and Pascal Siakam, among others on that team. I mean, that was a good team. They had size, they had everything. That Toronto team was a good team. That was a formidable team. Original Gamester says the Heat are still right there. Yeah, but what happened with the Heat is that Jimmy needed help, and I thought Bam would have been a guy that could really step up, man. I always felt like Bam's offensive skill sets have yet to really be tapped into, and I just felt like he just came up short. The Heat needed help, and Herro was dealing with the injury. He was coming off the bench. That's just one contributor, but you really needed Bam to step up. You really needed Bam to step up. J-Rock says Jimmy Butler's not a superstar. In the playoffs, he is. In the playoffs, he is. I'll put Jimmy up there with a lot of guys in the playoffs because he can raise his game that way. That's a fact. Shout out to Samir is here. $5 super chat says you trade Spider to pair up with RJ, not trade RJ for him. Then the trade doesn't make sense. That's a fact. That's a fact. And that's what I said in previous shows. That's what I said in previous shows. If you are trading RJ along with your draft capital and stuff like that for Donovan Mitchell, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But if you have a chance to get him without putting RJ in there, you got to look into it, man. This is why you play the game. It's either you take a swing or you try to bottom this thing out. Don't try to get stuck in the middle. Because again, be realistic about where the future draft picks are going to be for the Knicks. And what type of player that's going to net you with what you have right now. Sure, you can certainly wait around for another guy, another disgruntled guy. Sure, you can wait around, but who is that guy and how long is that going to take? You already brought Brunson here. Jackson Shaw, $20 super chat says there comes a time when you have to take a swing. For every Golden State, there's a Sacramento. Look at Sacramento. Look at Minnesota. That is correct. Look at Orlando, who had 3 number 1 picks in the last 15 years. You have to take calculated risk. That's a fact. Right after this, I'm gonna go downstairs and put a couple $100 on black on the roulette table and see what happens. If I come up, it's gonna be a great night. If I lose, I don't know. I'll figure it out. But you gotta take a risk. Or maybe I'll put it on my favorite number, man. Just throw some numbers in the chat. Let me know what your favorite numbers are. I'll throw it on the roulette table later tonight. See how it goes. Dylan B says, on a scale from Andrea Bargnani to Carmelo Anthony, where do you think the Mitchell trade lands? Well, it all depends on what a framework of a deal is. We don't know what it is, right? Obviously, in the Bargnani situation, that was a fleecing, and we knew that from the time the deal was announced. And speaking of Bargnani, another person I ran into yesterday at Summer League was Glenn Grunwald. So speaking of the devil, ran into Glenn Grunwald yesterday at Summer League, and I was kind of looking at him a little bit sideways, man. I was looking at him a little bit sideways. Glenn Grunwald ran into RJ's father, Jalen Rose, Derek Fisher was sitting together. SGA, Lou Dort were sitting together. Got to see Mathurin a little bit. Ivy didn't play, so that was unfortunate. Only unfortunate thing is that as you get later and later into Summer League, they start to shut down some of the younger guys. And you did see some EJ Liddell tore ACL. Boncaro hurt his ankle, so he's out of there. So unfortunately, as it progresses, some of the more premier talents start to shut it down. But so yeah, the Bargnani trade was a fleecing. The Melo trade, look, it was tough losing, Gallinari, Chandler, Felton. Yeah, it was tough losing them. Did they make, did Denver necessarily win that trade? No, I don't think so. Did it cost us role players that, we could have, maybe competed with? Yes. But I really think, at the end of the day, put yourself, if what they say is true about the Melo deal and that Dolan was the one that stepped in last minute, didn't want to see him run to the Nets in the offseason and pull the trigger, put yourself in Dolan's shoes. Again, this is risk. This is risk. And when you're looking at the framework of that deal, yes, there was considerable draft picks as well in that deal. Would you have sat and waited that out? After you took all the steps to untie Isaiah's knots, get yourself under the cap, you had all these guys coming in as free agents, you struck out on Bron and Chris Bosh, fan base was looking for some positive signs of life that we could get back to our mojo. I thought the biggest mistake during that Melo era was Stat. Amari being injured to me was the biggest thing that derailed that whole Melo era. And they still made the playoffs several years during that time. A tough trade. A tough trade. But to me, Amari being a max player that you couldn't rely on due to the significant injury history, I thought that was a big one. Because he just wasn't around. From the fire extinguisher incident to hurting his back in the layup line during the playoffs and then his knee just getting considerably worse. That, to me, was the biggest issue. Not saving the amnesty for Stat, which is a hard thing to do, right? It was a hard thing to do. I'm not sure how many officials or executives in the league would have done that, especially to a guy that came in and tried to resurrect the franchise. That's a tough thing to do. That's a tough thing to do. Shout out to My Two Cents. We've been waiting since 1973. Rose and Worldwide West are here to get us back. If they can land Donovan Mitchell without giving up RJ, make the deal. Others will follow. By the way, Summer League content was great. Series 2. Salute CP. Salute to My Two Cents, man. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate that. If you guys are new in the chat, man, leave me a hashtag new. I'm seeing a lot of new viewers, a lot of new people commenting here. Leave me a hashtag new. I'll shout you guys out. Sorry, we got. Okay. Webends Louis says, CP, are they watching the footage you were playing? Who is doing that on the Knicks? I don't know. Maybe the Cam Hive is still looking for some signs of life, but we don't got a guy that can do this. I can tell you that right now. We don't have a guy. And again, when crunch time comes next year and they dump it down to 30 to make a play, you call me back during postgame and let me know how you feel. Or maybe we'll blame Tibbs like we always do, right? We'll blame Tibbs. It's Tibbs' fault. Okay. Shout out to my guy Junior Chrome, always in here. What's good, man? Rudy Tay says, stop trying to make sense of this so-called trade. NY State of Mind. Appreciate it. Team hashtag new. Kareem Brown. Team hashtag new. Kanyon Pepper. Team hashtag new. Alexander Rivera. How you feeling? NCPD Mail says new on another subject. Hunt looks nice. Yeah, Hunt. I think he's a steady player, man. I like him as a wing. Will he make the team down the road next year? So who knows? But I like his game. I definitely like his game. Had a chance to talk to him after the last game, so definitely check that out. Got to interview Grimes, Hunt, Coach Yashimoto. It was nice, man. CP was back there as beat reporter stuff. You know what I'm saying? We cover it all on KnicksFanTV, man. We going behind the scenes. We're with the fans. I'm one show for the fans by the fans. We giving you guys everything, man. Who else did I run into? Had a good conversation with Bobby Marks. He'll be coming on the show soon. Amin El Hassan, Josiah Johnson, Yeah, met a lot of good people, man. Met a lot of good people here, for sure. My guy, D's Nuts, tuning in from New Zealand, man. Great name. Salute to you. Carl Telemac, how you doing? Team hashtag new. We got Ashish Pal Singh. Ashish, thank you. And I believe he did send a super chat. He says, how do you think we mesh with 3 ball dominant starters in Brunson, Mitchell, and Randall if this trade goes through? Well, ultimately, you need more spacing, especially if you have Brunson, Mitchell, and RJ, right? I think Julius would have to be the odd man out. And you try to go ultimately get a real stretch for that lineup. I think Julius would be the odd man out. Brunson is a guy that's shown that he can play off ball. Spider is a guy who, as much as he dominates the ball, also shared a backcourt with Mike Conley Jr. I think they can make it work. Obviously, it would take sacrifice, a chemistry, but I think they would have to look to move Julius ultimately if they bring him in here to better space the floor. Philip Casanova, great comment. We got over 2,000 people watching, but less than 500 likes. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Very important to do so, man. It lets YouTube know, lets the algorithm know this is the #1 show for the fans by the fans. We in here with an impromptu emergency live stream. You got to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. There's no other way around it. Hit that like button. Let's get to at least 1,000 likes. There's 2,000 people in here. That means we need 500 people to hit that thumbs up. And let's do it. You guys know the protocol by now. You guys know the protocol, man. We got Flo Money Yerd, new from the DR. Salute to the DR, man. Salute to the DR. And yeah, drop your cities in the chat, man. Drop your countries in the chat. Let me know where you guys are tapping in from. Robert Paris, $10 super chat, says, thank goodness we have management that plays chess. Yeah, they're being patient. They're being patient. Shout out to Latinx Travel Club, $20 super chat. Appreciate you. Another $20 super chat from, oh, I got that. WebEnds Louis. Appreciate that. Papo171 says, I got my hat today, CP. Yep. Good stuff, man. I did send out a shipment of hats before I left for Vegas. So you guys that did place your order should have them. And you guys that didn't, make sure you go get them, man. It's a great hat. New Era hat. New Era KnicksFanTV hat. So make sure you guys go get that. Harlem's Fredo, congratulations on the media pass. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's all right here, matter of fact. I should really show it, but I'll show it right here. You know what I'm saying? Little summer league joint. And yeah, it's just a great experience, man. Just being able to build and go backstage. You get to talk to people. You know, it's a very summer league is a very, very intimate affair with the league. You literally see everybody from all ranks, from ownership. You know, I'm two seats down from Dolan, Rose, and Perry. Sam Presti, Joe Dumars. I'm seeing everybody. Yesterday, like I said, I saw Glenn Grunwald next to Danny Ferry. Just sitting there, with the scouts and everything, and just taking in the game. So it's a great environment. Niv says, I love the emergency live streams. Appreciate that. Jeffrey Quijano says, I gave you a like. Appreciate that, Jeffrey. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. TM, what's good, man? TM, let's throw a chat up, see what the people think about this Mitchell trade, how they feel about it. See how they feel, man. Yeah, I was in there with the CAA Mafia, man. I know you guys try to think I'm connected with those guys. I can't really give y'all too much, but I was there. Rick Brunson was there as well, man. Got a chance to chop it up with Deshauna Jop, who's going to be the new G League coach. Jaren Jackson, who's involved with the Knicks in terms of player development capacity as well as the G League. And, yeah. Daniel Bosajor says, I got sniffles. Yeah, a little bit under the weather, man. A little bit under the weather, but all good. All good. It is what it is. Who else we got in here? Who else we got? Is Jay from Florida in here? I don't see Jay in the chat. man. CT Pittman says, what's your thoughts on championship rings for Summer League? I I thought it was a little cheesy in the beginning, but if we win, oh, we're celebrating. You know what I'm saying? If we win, we're celebrating. You know, they're trying to do whatever they can to broaden the appeal of the league to the more casual fan. We saw that with the play-in tournament, which they're now making permanent. We see that with, as remember I told you guys, the in-season tournament, which I told you guys about before they even leaked it, before Woj and all those guys. CP the Fanchise broke that. The in-season tournament is coming within the next 2 years. Trying to bring in the casual fan, because the regular season can be a bore if you're not a diehard. They created the Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, right? The Magic Trophy, the Larry Bird Trophy. Now they have Summer League rings. So they're trying to do these things to really appeal to the broader audience, the younger audience, the more casual fan. Look, if the players celebrate it, good for them. If the Knicks win it, even better. And yeah, that's about it, man. But just know that that's the overall motivation of the league when they're doing all these things. And any commissioner in sports, once they get in and take over the reins from their predecessor, they're looking for ways to continue to expand and continue to monetize. That is exposing the league to emerging markets, broader markets, casual fans, looking into the ways in which the game is broadcasted, looking into which alternative styles of broadcast. You're seeing gambling being really integrated within these leagues now. So all these commissioners are looking for those ways to generate additional revenue, generate additional interest, because ultimately that leads to more revenue for these leagues. Ari says, I wish we were taking calls. We'll take it tomorrow. We're going to take your calls tomorrow. Wait till you guys see the studio that I'm going to be in tomorrow, man. Real nice. Real nice stuff, bro. So wait till you guys see that. And we'll take calls tomorrow. But now we had a great showing today, man. We got 2,200 people in here. 100 likes away from 1,000 likes. Let's get in and hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button for you boys, and get after it. Harlem's Fredo says, nah, CP, watching the highlights are changing my mind. Trade RJ. SMH, I hate to say, but we need a Mitchell. I'm not trying to trade RJ, man, but, I just don't understand how the Knicks fan is just never satisfied, man. It's like they're just looking for the next LeBron James before they say, okay, make a trade. Those guys don't grow on trees, ladies and gentlemen. That's why they're called generational talent. They don't grow on trees. And if you're not going to take the path to bottom out and try to draft from the top, I don't see where you're going. I don't see where you're going if you don't take your swing. I just don't see it. Respect Shaq, are you happy about the take fouls? Yes. So the take foul rule, let me just pull that up real quick. Appreciate you for bringing that up. Let's talk about it. The take foul rule in the NBA. They are now going to penalize a team for 4 take fouls. Let's see what the penalty. The new penalty is 1 free throw, which may be attempted by any player on the offended team in the game, along with continued possession. So it's almost like a tech. It says, or immediately following change of possession and before the offensive. The exception is in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter or overtime. So yeah. So now it's going to be the equivalent of a tech. And I agree with that. I don't think, for one, it slows down the game. It makes it boring. To me, man up, play some defense. And from my perspective, a lot of times I'm watching, especially in the playoffs, and I'm seeing star players giving up take fouls. I'm just like, what are you doing? One time I'm watching the finals, and I'm watching Jason Tatum give up a take foul in the first quarter. And then he picks up his second foul, I think early in the second. Now, Udoka had ended up leaving him in, but if you're going to be a star player, giving up take fouls, God forbid you pick up your second, that takes away all your aggressiveness. Now that changes the way that you're approaching the game. To me, it doesn't make sense. So I like the rule. Man up and play some defense. Man up and play some defense. Sean V says, you said you give him up Spider, but it's not willing to say the appropriate price. I did say it. Some of you guys may have gotten in late. I said I give up Obi, IQ, Cam, McBride, 5 or 6 picks. Yeah. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. Ari, I just said it. IQ, Obi, Cam, McBride, 5 picks. If I gotta go 6, might have to. Might have to. I'm not giving up RJ. And that's it. Somebody said, don't say it again. You're giving up too much. Well, okay. As I said, I will be here all season, next season, season after that, season after that, season after that. We'll see where we are. We'll see how you feel. That's all I'll say. I'll be here. I will be here. For all the complaints, all the crying, all the, we're never going to be good, we're never going to get talent. I'll be here. No problem. No problem. I'll be here, win or lose. Playoffs, no playoffs. Championship, no championship. I'll be here. Ian says the salary don't match. Well, we got to look into it. Obviously, you know, if you want to get specific with it, sure. We'll look into that. We'll go into that. Dimitri says I'm selling the farm for Spider. You got to pay to play, man. You got to pay to play, man. Would I keep Grimes over Cams? All day. Every day, any day of the week. 100%. 100%. Yeah. All right, too much. Okay. They're giving up too much for the guy that has led his team to the playoffs every single year. Number 1 in the West. He's led his team in the playoffs in the West every single year. The leading scorer. This guy's dropping 40-point games, 50-point games. Okay. You guys don't want that? No problem. No problem. You guys just want feel-good stories with the kids on this team? Okay. No problem. Like I said, I'll be here, man. We'll just see where it goes. JJ says, has he won a round? Yeah, he's won a round. They've also been eliminated out of the first. They need more talent on that team. They needed more talent on that team. They needed more talent on that team. That was obvious. I'm operating from a place of desperation. Okay. I've just been a Knicks fan for over 30 years, and they haven't won anything. So, yes. Yeah. That's it. And again, look at where this team is right now. And I hope some of you guys in the chat are the same ones that are like, well, we're headed in no man's land with Brunson, but then don't want to trade for Mitchell. Because like I told Ari on Twitter, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. You got to pick a direction. If you're going to bring in a Brunson, then you might as well try to make a play to get talent in here to win. That's all I'm saying. But all right. Hey, you guys want to, sit on the young guys and, all these guys are going to turn into all-stars and the Knicks are just going to, build through youth and draft and win a champion. Okay. No problem. We'll see how that works out. We'll see how it works out, man. But anyway, I'm about to get out of here, guys. This was a solid hour of fun. Oh, let me salute the super chat. Dwayne E. checking in from Sweden says Brunson cooked Mitchell in their matchup. CP is not worth that much. Undersized 2 guard that needs to play point guard. So you get the best of both worlds. A lot of people point to that. Like, a lot of you guys pointing to the reason to not get Mitchell, to me, is just like wild excuses. Again, put it this way. Name me one player on the Knicks right now that you could have swapped out Donovan Mitchell, put him on that Utah team, and they still had the same success that they did in the West. I mean, you guys are like grasping at straws for a reason not to get this guy. Now, because Brunson cooked him, he shouldn't be on the Knicks. Hey, ask around the league. Brunson's a good player. D-Roy says, as long as RJ's not in that trade, we should make it. We collected the draft picks exactly for this reason. What else are you going to do with the picks? You going to bring in more role players? What else are you going to do with the picks? Okay. Now, Pereira says, what success? More success than the Knicks have had in the last 10 years. I don't know what to tell you guys, man. You guys want to go from the basement to the championship. It doesn't happen that way. You got to take incremental steps. You got to take incremental steps. I'll take what the Jazz have done with Donovan Mitchell over the last 5 years than anything the Knicks have done over the last 10. All right, so that's the story, man. We'll, I got some more super chats. Hang on. New York Sports Guy says Julius Cam IQ and 4 picks for Mitchell. Okay. I'll do that. Salute Chase Signature. Bottom line, people, you got to pay to play. Is Leon going to be desperate? We'll see. It looks like it could be a 2-team race between Miami and the Knicks. We'll see if the KD Ayton situation draws Utah with Mitchell. That's a little bit more complex. And maybe the Knicks just wait it out. I wouldn't mind that either, if he's still available. Because then maybe the price goes down. I'm with that. This isn't a desperation play. This is, if it meets your price, go get him. And don't delay. If it meets your price. All right, so I'll see you guys tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern time for the postgame show. I'll be live from the Wynn Resort and Casino Blue Wire podcast studio. We'll take your calls on everything, Summer League, off-season, Donovan Mitchell, anything you guys want to talk about. I will be there, and it's going to be a great show, man. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Lock in. See you in a bit. Peace.